Welcome everybody to this week's episode of The Weekly Toast. Today's episode is sponsored by, well, my online shop. Head over to toastyraven-shop.fourthwall.com and get 10% off checkout until August 22nd, 2024. I also have a limited merch line that's available, including hats, tie-dye t-shirts, mugs, and more, also available until August 22nd. Grab your favorite Toasty merch today, and thank you for supporting my content. Without further ado, let's take a look at what's coming up in today's episode. I get hands-on with the Spectre Divide playtest. I make my return to the Bayou in Hunt Showdown 1896. A brand new roguelike deck builder releases later this week. And if you're a fan of Trackmania or Wipeout, have I got the perfect racing game for you. Earlier this week, I was lucky enough to get hold of a key to play the Spectre Divide playtest. For those that don't know what this game is, Spectre Divide is a 3v3 competitive tactical shooter with a twist. That being that each player gets to control two characters whilst in game. When entering a match in Spectre Divide, players will select a sponsor. Each sponsor has its own unique utility loadout, ranging from abilities including swarm grenades, smokescreen walls, and even healing. Each of your characters will have full access to all of these abilities on a shared cooldown. Once chosen, you load into a game and buy weapons just like in Counter-Strike 2 or Valorant. However, instead of just buying one main gun and a sidearm like a pistol, instead you buy a weapon pack which contains two main weapons or two sidearms, giving one gun to each of your Spectres. Spectre is the name of your playable character. At first, this was rather strange to interact with and get my head around, as I needed to understand which Spectre was carrying which gun, as some of the gun sets come with one SMG and the other gun's a shotgun. So remembering which Spectre had the shotgun for close quarters combat instead of my classic tactic to run and gun with an SMG was rather crucial. And now for placing your Spectres. At the beginning of the match, you can open your map and click to place yourself before the round starts. You do not have to run into position, like other classic shooters. Left click on the map places your first Spectre, and right click places your other Spectre. When placing your characters, you could try to hold one bomb site by placing your Spectres in a crossfire position, or alternatively, you could spread yourself across two of the sites and swap between your Spectres to try and hold and gather info on where your enemy team are pushing. After a couple of rounds of buying guns, using abilities, and accidentally pressing X to swap between my Spectres, the game began to make sense. I found myself looking for creative ways to hold an angle, using elevation by throwing my Spectre's puck to higher ground to get a line of sight advantage over my enemy. I also liked confusing my enemies by fast swapping between my Spectres at close range, so they thought that there were two players pushing onto a bomb site. However, it was really just me alone. One guy using two bodies to throw people off the scent that my team was actually in fact pushing the other site slowly and I was just the distraction. It feels like Spectre Divide has somehow reinvented the wheel by adding in a brand new way to approach tactical shooters with this swapping mechanic. And I wholeheartedly believe that if this game gets the support that it deserves over the upcoming year before its potential release, it could take over the esports scene and become a top game in its genre. For fans of Valorant or even Rainbow Six Siege, Spectre Divide combines the best of both worlds in a responsive, highly performing title, and you must play this game. The gunplay is great, the maps are fantastic, and as of right now, I simply cannot fault the game. You can check out my Spectre Divide video in the video description for some live gameplay VODs that have been stored here on my YouTube channel. As the Hunt Showdown servers were temporarily closed for 48 hours prior to the new game's rollout, the community were eagerly awaiting to dive into the new version of this horror extraction shooter. Hunt Showdown is an experience like no other. A video game genre that isn't for the faint of heart, as the game's core mechanic revolves around permanent death. Users play bounty hunters, tasked with roaming a map in search of clues to find the location of a boss, slay it, and take its soul token to an extraction point to live and die another day. As the new servers were greenlit and Hunt Showdown 1896 went live this last week, players began logging in to see the new game engine update. This update brings all new graphics with graphical settings to further tweak your frame rate and visual beauty of the Bayou. It also brings new ways to program boss behaviors and mechanics that they can do, as demonstrated by the newly added Hellborn roaming boss. The Hellborn is a technical marvel for Crytek. Its animations, abilities, and attacks are astonishingly impressive. Seeing this creature roaming around at night, throwing fireballs out and spewing lava on the ground at players, it's incredible. The gunplay of 1896 is very much the same as the original title, albeit there is now more of an emphasis on bullet drop, damage drop off at certain ranges for ammo, and a few new gun types to unlock with stat combinations that have different rates of fire, kill distance, and ammo capacity. The overall gameplay is now a shinier version of the original. The new map is breathtaking. The scale of each compound, the vertical use of the mountainous terrain is awesome to explore, and the underground mine tunnel system that links different areas of the whole map together, it's a creative paradise for people to roam. This is what I wanted to see from a new engine update. New ways to build a PvP map for players to enjoy the fights, but also take in the scenery. So far, everything sounds quite good, right? Too good to be true. Well, one part of it became very apparent to not just me, but almost the entire Hunt community, as we booted up the game to be presented with what could undoubtedly be the most unfunctional menu UI I have ever seen in a video game. Don't get me wrong, I do not wish to hate on the game, but the functionality and practicality of the new Hunt UI is an absolute disaster. Menus in menus in menus, fighting against keybinds that either sometimes work or they don't, adding items to hunters that magically disappear. The UI, quite simply, stinks. Hunt is a great experience, and I always tell people to experience the game at least once in their lifetime, and I hope that people can see past this poor excuse of a UI to truly experience the great gameplay that it has to offer. Now, moving on to a short segment I want to mention, there's a brand new roguelike deck building game coming out on August 20th, and it's called Elemental Exiles. I was recently reached out to by the solo developer of this project, and they pitched their game to me in the best email I've received in a while. It was short, precise, and hooky, and me likey. Me likey so much that I'm actually going to stream the game this week to showcase it to you over on Twitch and shine my little corner of the internet spotlight on this title for other people to see. I've played a lot of deck builders over the years, and even more roguelike titles. Elemental Exiles promises a great experience as you battle through a series of creatures and really refine a deck that doesn't power creep towards the endgame. The cards and the gameplay are designed in a way that you can't just build an I win deck for the endgame fight. I'm super excited to try this game out. Come watch me on Twitch as I hop into Elemental Exiles this week and try it out live on stream. In today's final chapter, fans of classic Wipeout will fall in love with this next game, and that game in question is Phantom Spark. Phantom Spark is a single-player time trial style racing game in which players will race on a series of handcrafted tracks to beat their score and get gold medals on every track possible. Players will also compete in an online global leaderboard, with names, times, and countries being displayed and represented, and you can actually click on a person's replay to race against their ghost in real time to try and beat them. There's a handful of tracks to play in each chapter of the game, and each chapter comes with a visual theme and hero to guide you through their racing world. The game visuals are stunning and vibrant. Couple that with a totally chillaxed soundtrack and you have the perfect recipe for a pick up and play game. I played Phantom Spark in an early preview version last week, and you can check out that video in the description. I absolutely fell in love with this game, and I encourage you to use my affiliate link to wishlist and buy the game. Definitely one to add to your gaming collection. Ladies and gents, it's that time of the week where I remind you that this week's Epic Games Store freebies are available. And this week, you can pick up Death's Gambit totally free. Check out the link in the video description, click and claim it today. And that's it for this week's episode of The Weekly Toast. If you enjoyed the video, then drop a like, subscribe if you're new here, and tune in next week for another of my weekly gaming roundups. Don't forget, you can grab 10% off my merch until 22nd of August 2024. Social and stream links are below in the video description. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.